new megaphone. There's corruption on the highest floor.
Hello, I'm Kigan. I'm going to start with a poem and a little summary of podcast number 158, and then I'm going to finish that part of the book I was reading from Slave Species of the Gods. Okay, here's a poem. It's called The Gift of Truth. Fear is just an illusion, brought on by thoughts and confusion. The fear of disappointing the Creator above has been used against us by those who lack love. They are the controllers, spewing lie after lie, tormenting us all with hopes that will die. If you're a child of God, forget material things. You'll rise above all their tricks when you sprout wisdom's wings. See past the greed and the monetary system. Let's share creative ways to break free from this prison. You know in your heart this is no way to live. We are here to end slavery with the truth that we give. Hope you enjoyed that. That's a little bit of what I'm going to get into with Slave Species of the Gods, about how this one rotten, mean god has been impersonating the Most High, and it's very offensive and it's very disgraceful. I'm going to do the quick a summary of podcast 158. Then I'm going to read the Slave Species of the Gods, and then I'll close with another poem because I wanted to keep that poem open, the one I just read, because it does have a lot to do with what I'm going to read. Here is the what I wrote down for podcast 158. He's going to be breaking down what he said in the Cosmic Abandonment presentation, and I don't think we watched that one, but he's going to be doing a lot, and he's going to be breaking that presentation down, and we got to watch that, but we've been watching and reading a lot, so we're trying to learn as much as we can so we can share it on our show. Mark Passio will have a presentation in Manchester, Connecticut on October 4th called Demystifying the Occult. It's going to be a presentation about symbolism, which we are very interested in, but unfortunately we cannot make it. But I'm sure it will be a wonderful show, so if you're in Connecticut, you might want to check it out. He will have a flyer up on his website, whatonearthishappening.com, if you're interested. And also, is actually a synchronistic date that he's having it on, which 10-4 means message received, so that's interesting too. He said that the Street Law Spirituality presentation went well. I'm sure it did. Unfortunately, we couldn't make that one, but he might be posting it, I'm not sure. He said that he's also making good progress on his book, and we are writing our book, The Children of the Cloverfield. We're getting started with that, so right now it's just chicken scratch. So, and once we correct that, hopefully we can type it up, and we'd like to read it on the show once it's done. He said that he dedicates his presentation to Lloyd Pye. We looked a little bit at some of his stuff. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he had some good videos. Lloyd Pye and the Star Child Skull. YouTube videos, Human Origins and Hominids, Everything You Know Is Wrong, in the Evening with Lloyd Pye. So we'll have to look at that too. We haven't gotten a lot into that, but we did look at it a little bit. Let's see. He recommended that the presentation to see are Cosmic Abandonment and Morality and Disclosure. We watched that one. That was really good, about the extraterrestrial contacts and how it's hidden and people aren't allowed to know what's going on. It's top secret and all that. Everybody has the right to know what's going on, especially when humans are part of it. It's ridiculous, really. They want to protect the military-industrial complex, intelligence agencies, want to protect their energy paradigm. They don't want people to know about free energy, cover-up of extraterrestrial knowledge, and banks are involved in the cover-up. The oil industry and banks definitely don't want anybody to know about this. The media it also helps out by doing as it's told and getting paid for it. So, unfortunately, when getting paid comes in, things start becoming a load of crap, really. We're not getting paid to do what we do. We're trying our best to get this out here, to figure out what the truth is. Barriers to natural law, fear, so-called convenience, lack of self-respect, self-loathing, lack of love as a whole, parental abandonment issues. A good quote, death is no cure for ignorance. Fear, willful ignorance, fear of any responsibilities, fear of the unknown, lots of different things keeping people away from natural law and changing all of this for the better. The tree of evil, it's from the tree of evil, as he calls it. We're going to be doing a funny cartoon about that. I don't want to spoil it right now, so just look forward for Art for Truth. The Tree of Evil cartoon will be out soon. And then we're also working on another cartoon. Okay. I think that was about it for that. I'm going to start reading from the book where I stopped. Okay. Let's see where I left off. Okay. We're talking about that rotten god impersonator Marduk, and we're going to hear a lot more about that later in the book, as well as in this this part that I'm going to be reading. I said all these activities happen for very sound reasons. The planet Nibiru is on a 3,600-year orbit around the Sun, just like the orbit of many comets. On one of its approaches to the Sun, which is also an ellipse, I wanted to mention this, lots of companies and corporations have an ellipse symbol, and Nibiru is on an elliptical rotation around the Sun, not like other planets. So, and I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories and stories about this planet, and I don't know, I've never seen it, I don't know where it is, it's somewhere, and I'm sure that it will be found, and one day the truth will be brought to light. And I don't know, I'm not saying anything, I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm learning things, and this book seems to be very interesting, with explaining a lot of holes in the stories that we've all been told, so that's why I'm sharing it. It's on a 3,600-year orbit around the Sun, just like the orbit of many comets. On one of its approaches to the Sun, Nibiru came unusually close to Earth and Mars, causing great geological upheavals that resulted in the Great Flood some 13,000 years ago. At that same time, the presence of Nibiru also caused Mars' atmosphere to be sucked away. The Anunnaki saw this as They saw this approaching global catastrophe as an opportunity to wipe out the slave species that they created and had grown to very large numbers by then. The slave species had become a big problem that was not going away. They needed constant supervision, care, and feeding like little helpless children. They were becoming unruly, and some even began to develop thoughts of independence, breaking the bonds of labor and slavery in the mines. But the biggest problem for Enlil was that some of the Nephilim were having children with the human females, creating a whole new subspecies and exacerbating the problem. At the original point of creation of the Adamu, there was much disagreement between the two commanding brothers. Enlil was completely opposed to the creation of a new species, and now he had the perfect opportunity by allowing a natural disaster to eliminate the human problem. But Enki, who was the creator of humankind, told some of his own offspring to save themselves in a submersible boat. The rest is part of human history. The close proximity of Earth to Nibiru had a devastating effect on the large planet Nibiru as well, once again disrupting its atmosphere. Just when the Anunnaki thought they had saved the planet Nibiru and were going home, the gold mining had to resume. There was something about gold that these individuals wanted and needed for survival on their planet, which explains the obsession with gold going back many, many years ago. So, something like that. The close proximity of Earth to Nibiru had a devastating effect on as fate would have it, they were grateful that some humans survived, but this time they would give them knowledge and teach them all they needed to know about civilization and survival, while they slowly began to be absorbed into the extended family of gods. The gods divided the world into a number of regions, allocating each region to one of the more senior Anunnaki children on Earth. Disagreements and greed began to consume the ruling gods, with one of them called Marduk Ra-Amun. Either Marduk /Ra/Amun, apparently he had 3 names. And proclaiming himself to be the one God above all, he expanded his influence over the world against the will of the rest of the Anunnaki gods, causing a standoff. Marduk seems to be the one god of the Old Testament who began to prohibit worship of other gods by humans. He was also referred to as the god of vengeance, who about 2,500 years BC began to force humans everywhere to accept him as the only god. He promised reward and sympathy for those who obeyed him and great punishment to those who did not. He also began to promise immortality to his followers, the pharaohs being the major and first benefactors of his promises. It is for these reasons that we see the unusual obsession with the afterlife among the Egyptian kings. The rest of the Anunnaki decided that they had to act decisively and with extreme force against Marduk. This was the time that involved Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible. The destruction was violent and widespread, with dire consequences. But somehow Marduk escaped the onslaught, and the events only made him more feared and worshipped by the surviving humans. So his related extended family in northern Mesopotamia, the Aryans invaded the lands to the east and Europe to the west, conquering humans everywhere and imposing their Aryan supremacy on them, and there is such it is remaining status quo in the world today, which is what I believe J. Parker referred to. I think his mother said that they had they'd conquered humans and took over. So that kind of sounds like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that sounds like what he was saying. His mother said happened a long time ago. And then the author goes on to say, I must tell you that I'm not making any of this up in a moment of fictional insanity. As ridiculous as these tales may sound, they are no more ridiculous than what is happening in the world today. You can be the judge of the evidence presented, and you can decide whether you want to remain a slave species, or whether you want to begin exploring the new options presented to us as we unearth more and more prehistoric artifacts that tell us a completely different story about our human ancestry ancestry than the ones we have all been told. So I think that was a good part of the book to read, and if I find any other parts of the book that have any more interesting facts and details of this, I will read them too. But we're still working on the book. We're still reading, so we have a lot of reading to do. I'm going to close off with a poem really quick. It's called The Strength of the Living Spirit. We can see what could be, but we're trapped in what is. It is up to us to help, their will match his. So much blindness, so much loss of hope. We exist here together, but we feel so alone. When we take one step forward, we are pushed 3 steps back. When we speak from the heart, the wicked attack. We search online and find others that see inspiring ideas of what great things could be. And again, they attack us and say that we're evil. But unlike them, our fruits prove that we are good people. They can't admit when they're wrong, even when it's been proven. They want to dominate the world, and they'll kill us to do it. Although the flesh dies, the spirit lives on, returning to earth to fight what is wrong. So, we will not be stopped. And I hope they realize that, because we are not giving up. And I thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week.